Why you struggle to choose one path, Identity Diffusion explained. Introduction, the feeling of being pulled in every direction. Have you ever felt like you could become so many different things? That choosing just one path feels almost impossible. Maybe one week you're excited about starting a business. The next week you're thinking about going back to school. Then suddenly you're researching a completely different career, imagining a completely different life. And every option feels interesting, possible, even exciting. But there's also a quiet tension underneath it all. Because while you're exploring everything, you're not committing to anything. And sometimes that leads to a frustrating thought. Why can't I just pick a direction like everyone else? Maybe you've wondered if something is wrong with you. Maybe you've been told you're indecisive, scattered, unfocused, or afraid of commitment. But here's something important most people don't realize. Sometimes the struggle to choose one path has less to do with laziness or fear, and more to do with something psychologists call identity diffusion. In this video, we're going to unpack what identity diffusion actually is, why it can make life choices feel overwhelming, what's happening psychologically when you keep switching directions, and how to start building a clearer sense of identity without forcing yourself into the wrong life. Because the goal isn't to become someone else. The goal is to slowly discover who you are. Reframe, you're not broken, you're undecided about who you are. Let's start with an important reframe. Struggling to choose one path does not automatically mean you're lazy, unmotivated, or incapable. Often it means something deeper. Your identity is still in the process of forming. In psychology, identity development is a major life task. It's the process of answering questions like who am I? What do I value? What kind of life do I want? What role do I want to play in the world? When those answers aren't fully formed yet, the mind keeps searching, testing possibilities, trying on different futures. That exploration is normal. But when exploration goes on without commitment for a long time, it can start to feel like you're drifting. That's where identity diffusion comes in. What is identity diffusion? The term comes from developmental psychology, especially the work of Erik Erikson and later identity researchers. Identity diffusion describes a state where a person has not committed to a clear direction. Has not fully explored their values or goals. Or feels uncertain about who they are. Instead of a stable identity, there's a kind of psychological fog. You might feel pulled toward many possibilities. Unsure what truly fits you. Afraid of choosing the wrong thing. Or strangely disconnected from long-term goals. Imagine standing in a room filled with doors. Each door leads to a different life. Career paths. Cities. Relationships. Versions of yourself. But instead of opening one door, you keep walking around the room. Looking. Thinking. Wondering. And eventually the room itself becomes exhausting. Mechanism explanation, why the brain struggles without identity anchors. To understand this pattern, we need to talk about how identity actually works in the brain. Because identity isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a decision-making framework. Mechanism 1, identity reduces cognitive load. Your identity acts like a filter. It helps you automatically eliminate options that don't fit you. For example, if someone strongly identifies as an artist, they don't constantly debate whether to become an accountant. Not because accounting is bad, but because it simply doesn't match their internal story. Identity simplifies choices. Without it, every option feels equally possible. And the brain hates unlimited choices. Too many options trigger something psychologists call decision paralysis. Mechanism 2, the fear of closing doors. Another psychological dynamic is something called loss aversion. When you choose one path, you are also giving up other possibilities. And for some people, that loss feels very uncomfortable. You might think, what if this isn't the right path? What if I discover something better later? What if I waste years going the wrong direction? So instead of committing, The mind keeps researching, planning, imagining, but not acting. This creates a strange situation where potential feels safer than reality. Mechanism 3, the identity sampling loop. Some people naturally explore more identities than others. They try different hobbies, careers, philosophies, lifestyles. This can be incredibly valuable. But without reflection, exploration can turn into a loop. Explore, get excited, doubt, switch direction, repeat. The brain becomes addicted to new possibilities instead of building depth in one path. It's like constantly planting seeds, but never letting anything grow. Practical strategies: how to start building identity clarity. The solution isn't to suddenly pick a life path overnight. Identity doesn't work like that. Instead, think of it as a process of gradual self-definition. Let's look at some practical tools. Tool 1. Focus on values, not paths. Paths change. Careers evolve. Industries disappear. But values tend to remain stable. Instead of asking, "What career should I choose?" try asking, what kind of problems do I enjoy solving? What kind of environment energizes me? What type of people do I want to help? Values are like compass directions. They don't tell you the exact road, but they point you toward the right region. Tool 2. Commit to experiments, not forever decisions. One reason choosing a path feels scary is that it sounds permanent. But most decisions aren't permanent. Think of choices as experiments. Instead of saying, "I must choose my life path," try saying, "I will test this direction for 12 months. Experiments reduce psychological pressure. They allow you to move forward while staying flexible. Tool 3. Build identity through action. This is a big one. Many people try to discover identity purely through thinking. But identity actually forms through experience. You become a writer by writing. You become a designer by designing. You become a leader by leading. Clarity rarely arrives before action. More often, clarity emerges from action. Tool 4. Limit the number of open doors. When too many possibilities remain open, the brain stays in exploration mode. Try temporarily closing some doors. Not forever. Just for now. For example, this year I will focus on developing this skill. That temporary commitment allows depth to grow. And depth reveals whether something truly fits you. Tool 5. Create a personal narrative. Humans understand themselves through stories. When identity is unclear, the story becomes fragmented. Try writing a simple narrative. Where have I been? What themes keep showing up in my life? What problems am I drawn to solving? Patterns will appear. And those patterns are clues to your identity. Important caveats. A quick note here. Difficulty choosing a path can also overlap with other psychological factors, such as ADHD, anxiety, perfectionism, trauma-related indecision, high sensitivity. If your indecision feels overwhelming or paralyzing, working with a therapist or coach can be incredibly helpful. Identity development is a complex process. You don't have to figure it out alone. Psychological support: it's okay not to have it all figured out. Let's pause for a moment. Because there's a lot of pressure in modern culture to have everything figured out early. To pick a path. Stick with it. Build a perfectly coherent life. But the truth is, most people's lives are far less linear than they appear. They experiment. They pivot. They change directions. And those changes often become the most meaningful parts of their story. So if you feel lost sometimes, that doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you're still exploring who you are. And exploration is not weakness. It's part of the process. A different way to think about identity. Instead of asking, "Who am I supposed to become?" try asking, "What kind of person am I becoming through my choices?" Identity is not a fixed label. It's something you build over time. Piece by piece. Choice by choice. Experience by experience. Closing: clarity comes from movement. Let's bring this together. If you struggle to choose one path, it might be because asterisk your identity is still forming. Asterisk too many options remain open. Asterisk your brain fears closing doors. Asterisk or you're trying to think your way into clarity instead of acting your way into it. The solution is not instant certainty. The solution is intentional exploration followed by small commitments. You don't need to map your entire life. You just need to choose the next meaningful step. Clarity grows through movement. Identity grows through experience. And your path becomes clearer as you walk it. Until then, remember. You don't need a perfect identity to move forward. You just need the courage to explore, and the patience to let your life unfold.